From coast to coast on Saturday, millions of Americans turned out along highways, in public squares, parks, and downtown areas for the No Kings protests. More than 2,600 separate protests were planned from big cities to small towns. Organizers say in all, 7 million people took part in Saturday's events.
Welcome to the Political Orphans. My name is Nico Lagan. My co-host, Rob Ambrose, is not here tonight, so you guys are stuck with me. What's going on to you all? Today's topics are pretty simple. We're going to be talking about the No Kings protest that took place all over the U.S. and even here in Canada. We're also going to speak about our Muslim prayer rooms coming to a federal building near you. Get your comments ready because the show starts now. Wow, already a comment. What's going on, Wise Guy? Wise Guy is saying, hi, all the mashup with the Freedom Convoy heroes and Arthur Pawlowski was totally inspiring. Then I watched as people as the ostrich farm allow a slaughter even though they're far outnumbering the cops. Sad. Well, man, thanks for mentioning it because I was wondering what you guys thought because I thought it was a great show yesterday for the people that missed it. It's on the YouTube channel. You guys can find it. It's the Source One Saturday late night mashup. We had Chris Barber from the Freedom Convoy. We had Arthur Pawlowski. We had Chris Gerber. We had Jason Levine, myself. We had Jason from Wiretap Media, and I'm forgetting somebody. We also had Chris Dacey from Dacey Media. It was absolutely great. If you ask me, I had a blast. Those shows are 2 hours long, but we speak about the real shit that you're not going to hear anywhere else. So to me, love those shows. Wise Guy, happy to hear that you enjoyed it because Jason and I absolutely love doing those videos. And yeah, so every Saturday, if you've never watched it, we're talking 9 to 11 Eastern time on Saturday night. We always talk about different subject, anything that's trending, really. What's trended over the week, we speak about it. We have experts coming and speaking about it. So it was a couple of weeks ago, we had Katie from the Ostrich Farm. That was a great show. Yesterday, like I said, we had a bunch of great guests. So as Wise Guy saying, that was the best show yet. Well, we spoke spirituality, we spoke Christianity, which is my wheelhouse. I love to speak about this. I don't do it much here because that's not the goal of the show. The goal is really, when my co-host is here, to show common ground, like to find common ground between the left and the right, because let's be honest here, the issue all the issues we're facing are not left versus right, they're top versus bottom. So hopefully we can help create civil discourse. We can help bridging the gap between the political left and right. That being said, oh, there you go. La Chèvre Noire is saying it was an excellent show last night. Yeah, I appreciate that. I really, again, absolutely love doing those shows. Love doing those type of late night mashup. And it was funny yesterday because I was the only one swearing. Out of 7, I think we were 7 at one point. I'm the only one that dropped a few F-bombs. So it's always interesting to be that guy. But hey, that's who I am. If you've been following me for a while, if you've been on this show before, you know that I like to swear. So hey. Yeah, I agree, Wise Guy. Arthur was Arthur. Yeah, I have to say like that. I have to stop pronouncing an H in there because there's none. But yeah, Arthur Pawlowski, I had never recorded anything with him before. I will definitely, I have his information, so we're gonna sit down, him and I, and we're gonna speak. So Wise Guy, if you have questions you want me to ask him, just let me know. And you have the email address info@nicolagan.com. If you have questions you want me to ask Arthur Pawlowski, let me know. I'm gonna do an interview with Chris Barber as well. I also will do one with Chris Carbert from Alberta, who was arrested, and I think he's done a couple of years in jail after Coots. So yeah, if you guys have questions for those upcoming interviews, let me know, because I love to hear from you guys. I want to know what you guys think. So That being said, we're gonna jump right into it because we have to speak about this. This has been this was going on yesterday. We've all seen it. It's not the first time those happens. The No Kings protests that happen all over the US. They also happened in Canada. We'll talk about that because I don't think people understand the irony here, but it was absolutely hilarious. You'll understand why in a minute. But here's a video from Morning in America speaking about yesterday's No Kings protest. And then I noticed something that will just show you how mainstream media is full of shit. Absolutely full of shit. But let's start with this video. Actually, Squirrel Nuts, good point. If you're on X, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to restream this stream. If you're on Instagram, we want to hear from you. Like, comment. But if you really want to be part of the conversation, that you see at the bottom of the screen here is sound glitch. Again with this shit. Is there? Oh man, that it's crackling. Man, it's always when I share. This is you know what, man? Hold on. Let me see if I can fix this. This is going to be interesting because I can't leave the room since I'm alone here. Well, hold on. Well, just give me a second, guys. Can you guys hear me now? At least those headphones should be working. It is interesting how my $500 microphone always gives me problems, but can you guys? That's better. I'm probably gonna have to pop the volume. Just give me a second here. That's probably a lot better, right? Can you guys hear me now? Can you guys hear me? Yes, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down. I never know what the fuck happens. I swear somebody's fucking with me. Yeah, volume's too low. I don't know. Hold on. Man, this is interesting to do that on the fly. How's this? Is that better? You guys should hear me now, right? Yeah, there you go. Cool. It's good now. Bang, bang. So let's do this. So here is Morning in America speaking about the hard to hear you much better, bit high. Yeah, I can't make it any higher than that though, because it is 100%. Yeah, yeah. I'm sorry, guys. It's what a pain in the ass that problem is. But hold on, let me see if I can turn this on a bit, because I think I'm maxed out everywhere. Oh yeah, 1% more. Yeah, that's as much as I can be. I think I'm maxed out absolutely everywhere. Yeah, that's all I got. So hopefully this is good, man. So let's get started finally. My apologies for the sound problem here, but here is Morning in America speaking about the No Kings protest that took place yesterday. Oh boy, always the same type of people.
From coast to coast on Saturday, millions of Americans turned out along highways, in public squares, parks, and downtown areas for the No Kings protests. More than 2,600 separate protests were planned from big cities to small towns. Organizers say in all, 7 million people took part in Saturday's events.
So I'm going to stop it here for a second. I want you to pay attention to what they just said. The organizers are saying that 7 million people showed up to all the No Kings protests that happened nationwide in the US. Remember that number, 7 million. You'll understand why that number is important.
Some of the biggest crowds were in the cities most directly affected by Trump administration policies. We're looking at Chicago on Saturday. A march at one point stretched for 22 city blocks. thousands more turned out in D.C., where the No Kings event was headlined by Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders.
No, President Trump, we don't want you or any other king to rule us. Thank you very much, but we will maintain our democratic form of society.
The D.C. protest took place on Pennsylvania Avenue, right near the White House. Alongside Senator Sanders was Senator Chris Murphy, as well as leaders of several human rights and activist groups. Saturday's protests in D.C. and nationwide.
You know what? That's enough. I think we all get the picture. But there's a couple of reasons why I wanted you to know the 7 million. First, 7 million people showed up across the country out of 347. That's 2% of the population showed up to complain about Donald Trump. But what's funny, and that comment came from Instagram, is that 77 million voted for Trump. So the real question would be, how many people that voted for Trump actually showed up to the No Kings protests? Because let's be honest here, 2% of the population, that sounds insane, right? When you hear 7 million people showed up out of 347 million, it's not that nuts. It's 2%. There's a lot of fucking leftist lunatic, and I'm sorry to say that for the people out there, but the people that are protesting Trump that were okay with what Biden did, as in coerce Meta to censor people online, coerce Google to censor people online, they're okay with him doing stuff that they don't agree with because they don't like the guy. Because let's be honest here, if Biden would have been in the middle of creating peace between Ukraine and Russia, and same thing between Israel and Palestine, they would be held. If it was Obama that did this, if it was Biden that did this, they would have been seen like the best president on the fucking planet in the history of the US. So they just don't like Trump. That's why they're protesting. But at the end of the day, 2% of the population is peanuts. 77 million voted for him. So let's be honest here. But that's if we believe what they're saying, that there were 7 million people that showed up. And here's why that number is important, because here is Chicago. So this was Chicago yesterday at the No Kings protest. So let me pull up this video right here. So this is Chicago. This is the protest in Chicago, and they're estimating that at over 100,000 people. So I'm just going to let it go so you get an idea of what it looks like. But see, it's not even jam-packed, right? There's a lot of people. I've been to concerts personally that had more people than that. I've been to protests that had way more people than that. But they're trying to convince us that there was 100,000 people. Okay? That supposedly is 100,000 people. Do you guys remember last month in the UK, there was a Unite the Kingdom protest? Do you remember that? Do you remember the number that they tell us, that mainstream media told us that was there? They were telling us that there were 100,000 people. So in the US, what we're seeing right now is 100,000 people. Look at what 100,000 people is supposedly by mainstream media standard in the UK. So this was supposedly 100,000 people in the US. This is 100,000 people, and it goes on and it goes on. Look at this, like it just goes on and on and on and on. It just goes on and on and on and on. But supposedly this is 100,000 people. And what we just saw in Chicago is also 100,000 people. Look at this, it's just going, 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 and going. Like the video goes for a minute and 18 seconds, and it just goes forward and goes forward and goes forward and goes forward and goes forward. Yet the other video I just showed you, they literally just do over the top, side to side, they go a bit forward, but they're showing you the same crowd. Look at this. Since we started, the video is literally a minute and 18 seconds long. This right there looks like the amount of crowd that was at the Chicago protest. Yet the video, look at this, the video just goes on and 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 on. Like just here, just the beginning of it looks like they were as many people there as they were in Chicago. That doesn't count. Again, I got to show you. This is insane. Like the estimates for this was well over 1 million people. I've heard numbers, 2 millions. I've heard 3 millions. There's almost no way to know how many people were there just based on this. But I remember when there was a massive protest in Montreal during COVID, during the lockdowns. And I remember mainstream media saying that there were a few thousand people. I was in the protest. There were people all over the place. I've been to shows in my life. Like there's a massive show that happens every summer in Quebec City. They have some of the biggest names on the planet. I don't know if it still happens now, but it was still happening a few years ago. Well, at least prior to COVID. And I've been in crowds of 100,000 people. This is not 100,000 people. In Chicago, yeah, sure, that looks about right actually, but I think it's less than 100,000 because the crowds I've been in were bigger than that, and they were estimated at about 100,000. And when you have people showing up with tickets, it's pretty easy to see how many people are in the crowd. You can just count the fucking tickets. But this is mainstream media for you, right? So they're telling us that there's 7 million people that showed up, yet we're supposed to believe that what was in Chicago is 100,000 people, and the protest in the UK had the same amount of people. Bullshit. We all know this is bullshit, right? But here's the irony, right? That's 7 million people. If that's 100,000 people, chances are there was not 7 million people. And even if 7 million people showed up, it's 2% of the American population. 77 million voted for Trump. So I'd be very, very curious to see what the actual real number is. Obviously, we'll never know. But are you guys surprised? I want to hear from I want to hear from you guys in the comment section, because obviously Rob's not here today, so I'm going to interact with you guys more. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you think mainstream media is full of shit once again? How many people do you think showed up really out of 7 million? And even if 7 million showed up, do you think it's a big deal that 2% of the population took to the street to complain when 77 million voted for Trump? And again, I'd be very curious to know how many people that voted for Trump regret their votes, because that's a shit ton of people that voted for him, right? So before I start taking some of your comments, there's another thing that I wanted to show you guys, which this is how fucking stupid we are in Canada. This is just how absolutely ridiculous some of the Canadians are, because you know, in the US, they're saying no King's protest, no King's protest. Okay, cool. Did you guys know that this also happened in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, and Vancouver? People here in Canada protested at the No King's protests. Do they?
That's the American Embassy across the road.
So right here.
We're looking for a photo op. I would like to have everybody.
So that's Toronto.
Embassy. Take your right.
So people showed up at the Toronto American Embassy to complain about Trump, saying that no King's protests. Same thing happened. This is Ottawa. They always look absolutely ridiculous, don't they? But yeah, this right there is Ottawa. So same thing. So that's Ottawa. Here's Montreal. It is fun. Those women don't look like your typical Karens, right? It's here's Montreal to give you an idea. So there you go.
Are also taking place Saturday all over the world. The show of unity across the globe is indicative of
there
Trump's
you go.
unprecedented.
No King's protests in Montreal, and we'll finish with Vancouver, the 4 biggest cities in Canada. And here you go. So people are complaining in Vancouver as well. But the irony is that we are under a fucking king in Canada. Do they not understand that King Charles is the head of our nation? It's the head of the Commonwealth that we are under. Yet we're protesting against. They're calling Trump a king, and they say they don't want a king, no King's protest. Yet in Canada here, we actually, our head of the Commonwealth is the king. So the guy that rules us is the king. Absolutely ludicrous. This is how fucking stupid we are in Canada. It blows my mind that people are that stupid. Does it blow yours? Because mine, you know what? I don't know if I should say that it blows my mind, because I can't say that I'm that surprised. But it actually, you know what? No, it does surprise me. It's still, as much as I interact with those people every day, as much as I've met a lot of those people in real life, it still blows my mind that people are this fucking stupid. And I don't like to call people names. I really don't like it, but how do they not see the irony here? How do they not see it? Blows my mind how stupid some people are. It's hard for me to believe that people like that exist, yet we see them all the place. So let's see what you guys are thinking. Amio Rossetto. Hey, I don't remember ever seeing your name before, so if it's your first time here, hopefully you become a member. Oh, hopefully you become an orphan. Don't even become a member, just become an orphan. So make sure to like, make sure to comment. Again, first comment, hopefully you stick around. But Amio Rossetto is saying media 7 million. Well, if it's NBC or ABC, etc., it's probably more like 700,000. my point exactly, right? From the videos I showed you just how they are comparing 100,000 people in the US and 100,000 people in the UK. Let's say that we can't trust those numbers. What's going on, David? David, what's going on? TDS Squirrel Nuts says TDS. Yes, there is definitely a Trump derangement syndrome here. David FL is saying low turnout, low energy boomers who all cut out at 1 p.m. sharp. You know, that's what it is. It's either very young, purple-haired, woke individuals, or it is your past 65 baby boomers. This is basically who shows up to those protests. It looks like anybody in the middle of those two ages, or the two age group, is too busy either taking care of their family because it's fucking Sunday, so people spend time with their families, or they're too busy working. So I saw Trump rallies much bigger. Yeah. You don't even need to go that big on Trump rallies. Just imagine how many people watched the NFL yesterday. I've been to, one of my friends in the US is just gone back to university to become a to just get a specialization in history. He's a history teacher, and he wants to specialize. And he brought me to one of the games of his high schools, not of his high school, sorry, of his university. So the university team, we showed up there. There was probably 30,000 people in attendance, and that's not even a big college. Like 20 to 30,000 people watching university players. They're 20-year-olds playing ball. It's insane. So imagine how many people, I'm gonna check right now, how many people watched the NFL yesterday. So NFL games are averaging 18.58 million viewers. So let's say there was really 7 million people that showed up. I don't believe it, but let's say that's true. There was almost 3 times more people watching football yesterday. It's crazy, because how many stadiums in the US are 80,000 people? And yeah, so I agree with you guys 100%. Squirrel Nuts saying 48% of Americans is left-wing brainwash, flips to 50% when they can cheat. Yeah, I don't know that it's that many. I just think that more of them are vocal. More of them, you know, Rob is not here to defend himself, but I strongly believe that there's a lot of people like Rob out there, just to say that they're lifelong Democrats, lifelong liberals. They just don't want to admit to themselves that they're no longer Democrats or they're no longer liberals. They want to believe that they are, just like Rob, but at the end of the day, they're not. Their party has left the building a long fucking time ago, and although they stand in the exact same spot as they did 10 years ago, the party went so far left that they are now considered conservatives or Republicans, but they just don't want to admit it to themselves, so they still vote Democrats. They literally vote against the Republicans or against the conservative, although in Canada, we don't have real conservatives, but they vote against the party they don't want to be part of, even though they are those people. So I'd be curious to see if that's actually accurate, but I get your point though. I think having, Pam is saying, I think having the ability to protest is fundamental to freedom. Absolutely. 100,000,000%. I believe they should protest all they want, but it should be fair and square on both sides. That means we also have the right to protest. Just look at what happened. We had Chris Barber on the show yesterday, on the mashup. He is 18 months stuck at home right now. 18 months house arrest. Well, 12-month house arrest, 6 months curfew for being one of the main guys for the convoy, for the Freedom Convoy in 2022. So it's okay for Free Palestine to take over streets. It's okay for people to protest against Donald Trump all over the US, in Canada. That's not a problem. That's okay. That's not illegal. But when it's a conservative movement or non-government movement, that's not okay, right? So I agree with you, Pam. I will fight for the right that we have to protest. I will fight for the right for us to be able to say what we want to say, for freedom of speech. But at the end of the day, we all know that, as George Orwell said in Animal Farms, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Squirrel Nuts, left-wing mainstream media is always full of shat, especially when it tries to promote their crap. Yeah, well, agreed. Apostle Paul, no kings except Charles. Yeah, exactly my point. That is exactly my point. And you know what, David? I actually kind of agree with you that it seems, at least from the look of those people, that a lot of mental patients in their mental institution patients seem to be part of those protests. Exactly. There you go, Canada Bud 23. You're absolutely bang on, and that's exactly my fucking point. All this hoopla for no kings or tyrants, but they all voted for Trudeau and Carney. Exactly. Trudeau literally put us on lockdown across the country, took our rights away. It literally went from 2 weeks to flatten the curve to you will need a vaccination passport in order to go to the restaurant, in order to continue working. This is what happened in Canada 3 years ago. People have completely forgot about that. Completely forgot. And they called Donald Trump a tyrant. Yet right here in Canada, our government is tyrannical. As we speak right now, our government is trying to pass Bill C2, Bill C8, C9, C12, Bill C63 that are all taking our rights away. They're taking our freedom of speech away. They're censoring us. Those bills are surveillance bills. They're literally trying to censor us, take our guns away. Look at what's going on in Cape Breton, the buyback that's happening, or the gun grab that's happening. Look at the implementation of digital ID that's happening in Alberta right now. It's happening throughout the West. And you know that's the ultimate goal, right? They want to be able to implement a digital ID that's hooked to biometrics, meaning eyes, fingerprints, face recognition, like face, so that they can use face recognition like Palantir in order to track wherever you go. And then next step is to link your finances to your digital ID and debank you when they don't like what you have to say. Just look at what happened in Vietnam. 86 million people got debanked overnight for refusing the digital ID. So we literally have this happening right now. And instead of focusing on those real issues that are right here in front of us, people are complaining about an orange man in the South, like he's the one that's removing our freedoms. We've completely lost our shit. Yeah, you know what, Pam? You're bang on. They're lost. Yeah, you're a lot more polite than I am, but we completely lost our shit. I absolutely agree with you. La Vache Noire. See, I like this comment, man. La Vache Noire is saying people lack a deep understanding or a deep knowledge of history and have short memories. Yeah, that is an understatement right there. We were absolutely talking about this yesterday, right? Pastor Artur Pawlowski was talking about history. He's from Poland, so he lived on behind the what's the term, the Soviet curtain, the black curtains. Ah man, I can't remember how he said it, but he lived under the tyranny of Russia. Yet he's here talking about it. He's trying to educate people, saying that the Iron Curtain. Thank you, Apostle Paul. That's exactly it. The Iron Curtain. He lived behind it. He knows exactly what's coming. Yet people are calling him all the names in the world for trying to educate them. But you're absolutely right, La Vache Noire. We have a very, very, very short memory. Yet, how many books do I have right here, right behind me, that talk against what's happening, or that talk about what's happening and telling you that you need to be fucking careful? But we don't want to listen. We don't want to admit that this could happen to us. And that's the biggest problem, right? So yeah, a lot of people are saying iron curtain. You're absolutely right. So La Vache Noire, I think there is more to the story of the 86 million Vietnamese being debanked. I don't know, man. I looked into it, and that's all I can find is that they refused. Oh, La Vache Noire. My bad, bro. La Chèvre Noire. My bad. You're the only person that would have caught that. My bad, bro. I guess I'm thinking about the cheese. So, yeah, I'm going to end that rabbit hole right there because we talk about this all the time. Well, you know what? No, the rabbit hole's not done. Let's jump into another rabbit hole. This is an article. I saw this article on Friday from Blacklock's Reporter. Absolutely love that website. I'm going to have to buy it at one point to buy the subscription. But yeah, actually, before we get into the story, if you're liking what you're hearing right now, if you're on X, make sure to restream. Make sure to like. If you're on Instagram, you like what I'm talking about, you want to join the conversation, make sure to join us on the YouTube channel. Once you're there, make sure to like, make sure to comment, make sure to subscribe and hit that little bell so that you know when we are going live. Just follow us at the Poly Orphans on YouTube. And if you want to support what Rob and I do every day, consider becoming a member. It's $2.99 a month. It's literally peanuts. Or if you don't want to give your money away to YouTube so that they take a cut out of it, you can use the buy me a coffee option. So buymeacoffee.com/thepolyorphans. So yeah, let's get to the story. So you guys know this woman by the name of Amira El Gawabi, do you? Like, she's a special envoy for Islamophobia to the liberal government. And she believes she's been lobbying the government. So cabinet advisor has been lobbying the government managers to install Muslim prayer rooms in federal building, though only 2% of employees self-identify as Muslims. Failure to accommodate Muslim prayers in business hours was Islamophobia in the workplace, she wrote in notes disclosed through access to information. Islamophobia is a clear and present danger to our social fabric. Get the fuck out of here. Are you fucking kidding me? This reminds me of the same. I don't know if you guys saw this. I don't remember if I spoke about it on the show, but did you guys know that the Vatican are doing the same thing? They're gonna, the apostate library, if I remember correctly, Vatican apostolic, my apologies. They want to install a Muslim prayer room in the Vatican's apostolic library. This is how fucking crazy the world is going. So we're supposed to be a non-secular society. Supposedly that's what we are in Canada. Muslims have a special envoy that is part of the Liberal cabinet, or the advisor to the Liberal cabinet, that is telling us that although 2% of people, I don't care that it would be 50% of people that work for the government would be Muslims. Are we not a secular society? Does that not mean that religion is supposed to be out of the government, that there's supposed to be a separation of state in religion? Because that's what I understood Canada was. Clearly that's not the case. So we got somebody, I wanted to see, before I say something that is inaccurate, just let me confirm this, because I believe this woman makes like $150,000, or I think it might be more than that. But we have somebody making a boatload of money telling the government that we need to. Yeah, she makes over $160,000 a year. That was in 2023. So she makes her salary range is between $162,700 and $191,000 a year. So we got somebody that is advising our government as to what is Islamophobic, because obviously, clearly, everything is Islamophobic when it comes to her. And I don't know if you noticed, but she's one of the co-founders of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network. So, yeah. And, yeah, how the fuck is this shit happening? That in our federal buildings, now they're telling us that we need to have Muslim prayer rooms. The Vatican is going to have Muslim prayer rooms. Like, am I on track here? I literally feel all the time, I feel like that you know, that crazy person you always see in movies that has his sign on the sidewalk that's calling for the apocalypse, saying, hey, guys, wake up before it's too late because they're coming. Evil is everywhere. That's how I feel when I look at this shit. It absolutely blows my mind. We have Canadians protesting against a king in the US when they actually are ruled by a king right here in Canada. You got advisors to the Liberal government making $160,000 to $190,000 a year, telling the government that we need to spend even more money in order to install fucking Muslim prayer rooms within our federal buildings to accommodate less than 2% of people, while we're supposed to be a secular society. Do you think they would say the same thing about Christianity? That they would be okay that Christians would have little chapels in all federal buildings? Would they be okay if the same thing happened for Jewish people? Where they'd have tiny temples in every single federal building? Of course not. It's only okay if it's pandering to the people that they like. Yet, we all know what the fuck happens to leftists under Muslim rule, right? Absolutely fucking insane. You know what? Wise guy. I guess the Crusades were for no reasons. You know, man, I don't agree with... I got to be careful what I say here, because I normally want to take time to think about my words before I say them, but I don't want to say that I understand the Crusades, but I don't want to say I can't say that I don't understand the Crusades. Because at one point, when is it enough? I'm not a Catholic. I do not believe in the Pope. I don't believe in the Catholic Church whatsoever. I'm a Christian. I follow the Bible. But when I see people telling me that the Vatican needs to have Muslim prayer rooms in the Vatican, when we have advisors to the government that are making almost 200 grand a year telling us that we need to have Muslim prayer rooms during business hours in federal building, because if we don't, it's Islamophobia in the workplace. When we have those protesters blocking any street they feel like to pray, they take over parks. It's okay. That's no problem. That's totally normal. But guys like Chris Barber and Tamara Lynch organize a massive movement throughout Canada to have a conversation with our government. Because remember, guys, this was not against the lockdowns. As much as this is what it's become, that's the image that it's become over the years. At the end of the day, when it first started, all they wanted is to have a conversation with Trudeau, and Trudeau did not want to have that conversation. Chris Barber was talking about it on the show yesterday. But that's not okay. Both of them, Tamara went to jail. Now she's facing 12 months house arrest with 6 months, 6 months under curfew. Chris Barber was telling us yesterday, you know, he lives on the big farm. So even if he's stuck at home, there's a lot of things for him to do. And he has a lot of space. But he was saying that Tamara Lynch, she lives in the city. She can't even go out and walk her dog because it's out of her house property. So she can't even fucking walk her dog. That's what he was saying yesterday. So, but man, you know, it's again, all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others. Too many sheeps. Oh, that's awesome. Too many sheeples. They already use existing rooms, have been since 2010 at immigration when we got a woke Muslim woman for director. Yeah, man. It's insane, man. They would never agree to that if it was me that wanted to have a little church or a place for me to pray. You know, they wouldn't go for that, but they will do whatever they can to satisfy our Muslim friends, because remember, Muslim values are Canadian values. Guys, before we get to the next subject, make sure to like, make sure to comment. We want to hear from you, or I'm so used to saying we. I want to hear from you guys, so make sure to leave us a comment. I'm curious to see what you guys are talking about, or what your thoughts are, because agree, disagree, I want to hear from you. Bristle Tube, what's going on, man? Nice having you on the show yesterday. Organized religion has killed more people than anything. Do you consider communism a religion? Because communism has killed way more people than organized religion. So, but I guess you could consider that religion, right? I was debating that on my Instagram today, where somebody was saying that the only way forward is to have an atheist society, a secular society. And he went on and on to explain his ideas. And my answer to him was pretty simple. I'm like, okay, sure. So do you honestly believe that a secular society is possible? And I'm not saying that it's not possible because of what we're seeing right now, that there's a religious group that's going to get more rights than others. But let's take Canada, for example. Do you think that the only religions that we see in Canada are Christianity, Islam, the Jewish religion? Or don't you think that believing that a woman can have a penis takes a lot of faith? The LGBTQ agenda is absolutely a religion. And you don't even need to go that far. A lot of people's God is money, is success. Their whole life is based on making more money. That's a religion to me. So I don't believe that a secular society exists, because we all call God a different thing. And that's a fact. Look throughout history, people will always pray to something. Details, what's going on, Dan? Albert Pike's wet dream is happening right now. Yeah, man, you're bang on, brother. Crystal Watson, someone needs to remind this lady that we get 3 breaks for every 8-hour shift, and that's when she or her fellow Muslims can practice their prayers. Yeah, they don't care about you. Sorry to inform you, but you're not very relevant in their opinion, because you need to score higher on the totem pole of wokeness. I don't score very high on that one. I'm right at the bottom. Kenzie Kraken, what's going on? It was nice to see you on the show yesterday too. Communism has destroyed many more people. The fateless rule, yeah. That was my point exactly. I agree. That's literally what I was saying just a few minutes ago. Let's see here. La Chèvre Noire. Trudeau was too chicken to meet the protesters. I don't know that he was necessarily a chicken. He just did not want to because they served his purpose. Don't underestimate a guy like Justin Trudeau because, yes, he was pretty fucking stupid. But he had people like Mark Carney advising him. Like, people forget this, but Mark Carney has been behind Trudeau for a long time. For years, he's been one of his closest advisors. So, as much as Trudeau himself was pretty damn stupid, he had some very smart, evil people around him. And I don't think he was scared to meet the protesters. He needed somebody to blame. And that's what he did. Because remember, he enacted the Emergency Act on the Freedom Convoy in order to break it out. Yet, the JCCF, or the Justice Center for Constitutional Freedom, went to court. And the court agreed that it was unconstitutional. The use of the Emergency Act during the convoy was not legal. It went against our constitution. So to me, he saw that as the best opportunity to crush dissent. Because again, look at what's happening to Barber and Tamara Lynch even to this day. They're still paying for something that happened 2.5 years ago. We literally have a government that has weaponized our justice system to use it to crush dissent. Because this is a clear message that they're sending people. If you want to stand up to us, you will pay the price. And remember, Bill C2, C8, C9, C12, Bill C63, that's going to be retabled soon. Those are all tools that the government is using to crush dissent, to prevent us from rising against them. Just look at what's happening with the BC ostriches. There's supposedly, I'll make a quick mention of this, but here's an article that came out, I believe, over the weekend. I think it was on the 19th. So actually, it was this morning. This was released. This is CBC saying that Calgary's Butterfield Acres petting farm closed due to case of avian influenza. So they supposedly have avian bird flu at the Calgary's Butterfield Acre petting farm. And now the CFIA is probably going to show up there because they're the people responsible for making sure that they can control the situation. So are we seeing a repeat of what's going on at the ostrich farm in BC? Because we all know what's going on there. As per David Creighton, that speaks to Katie, the daughter of the owner, literally every day, he was saying that they're missing something like 100 birds. And if you want to see the videos, just go check out Chris Dacey or Dacey Media. No, it's Chris Dacey on X, but the name of the account is Dacey Media, and he's there right now. He was on the show for about an hour yesterday talking about this, but they have long shots with using a good camera with a massive optic on it, and they're showing you where used to be 399 ostriches. Doesn't look like much is left. So is that what's going to happen here? I don't know, but clearly it's happening in BC at the ostrich farm, and now they're calling for an avian influenza, avian flu or bird flu at the Calgary Butterfield Acre petting farm. So are we starting to see the CFIA being weaponized against zoos, being weaponized against farmer? To me, it's all the same. I don't care that it's the way that they're crushing dissent with people like Chris Barber and Tamara Lynch, that it's the gun grab that has already started in Cape Breton, that is the censorship bills that I'm always talking about, that it's how they use the CFIA in order to crush farmers, to crush dissent. Is that what we're going to start seeing all over the place now? Because those things are all related, guys. This is not siloed problem. We need to stop looking at this like they're all independent events, because they are not. It is the same government that is doing all of those things at once. Those are all related. Those are all part of the same strategy. Same thing last week we were talking about, last week or Sunday, so this week we were talking about the cyber attacks that happened in 3 airports in Canada. Victoria, which one was it? It was Kelowna, Victoria, and there was another one in Ontario. So there were 3 international airports that were hit by cyber attacks. Do you think it's a coincidence that the Liberal government is pushing Bill C-8, the Cyber Attack Act, where they're trying to amend the Telecommunication Act to allow the Minister of Industry, Mélanie Joly, to be able to remove the internet access of any Canadians they see fit? So they want to be able to force our internet provider to cut our internet because they don't like what we say. Bill C-9 has put a definition to hate, and Sean Fraser last week admitted that Bill C-9 will be applicable as much in person as it will be online. This is the world we live in right now. They are attacking us left, right, and center, and it is time for us to wake the fuck up. We need to really pay attention to what's going on right now, because the day this continues, because don't think that the airport cyber attacks were just a coincidence. This was, in my opinion, obviously this is my opinion, but this was a false flag. It was non-violent. They made appearance of pro-Hamas speech, which most of us don't want to hear. The same day of the events, MLAs in Vancouver, a conservative MLA was asking for more cyber security to be put in place. So Bill C-8 is getting massive amount of pushback, just like Bill C-2 did. People are complaining that the government's trying to take our rights away. Surprise, surprise, there's a non-violent cyber attack, and people from both sides of the fence, left and right, people are telling us that we need to put more security on our infrastructure. It's not a coincidence that the bill is getting pushed back, and now they're trying to use this as a way to push that bill. Don't be naive. This is not a fucking accident. So everywhere we fucking look, this is happening, and this is not a coincidence. Yet here's another perfect case of another way that they're attacking us. Here is an article by the Epoch Times. This is not surprising, but it's absolutely insane that this is going on. But disabled Canadians often offered euthanasia unpromptly, advocate tells MPs. So basically, disabled individuals, Canadians with disabilities, are being offered medical assistance in dying when accessing health care for regular health concerns, a disability advocate told a parliamentary committee on October 8th. People with disability are now very much afraid in many circumstances to show up in the healthcare system with regular health concern, because often MAID is suggested as a solution to what is considered to be intolerable suffering. Christia Carr, CEO of Inclusion Canada, told the Parliamentary Finance Committee on October 8th. Remember last week when I was talking about how MAID is harvesting organs? Oh, sorry, collecting organs, that they're now asking MAID patients to give their organs. And somehow there's a heart of a Canadian that ended up in Pennsylvania. An American got the heart of a Canadian MAID patient. That's not wrong to you? Like, let's not even talk about the morality of this. There was between 180 and 190 people that died last year waiting for a heart. They were on a waiting list for a heart. 100 to 190 Canadians died last year. Yet this heart, I'm not even debating how wrong it is that those people are dying from MAID, getting their heart harvested and sent to the US. And by the way, quick estimate for you, a heart in the US might be worth something like $1 million. Just so you know. So let's not even talk about how evil that is. The fact that we have a private company that somehow has the right to those organs and is capable of selling them in the US. This is a fucking fact. This was reported on so many platforms, it blew my mind. So we have MAID patients that are getting harvested. Their hearts end up in the US. We have Canadians here dying on waiting lists for heart surgery. And again, I don't agree with MAID at all. There's circumstances that I can understand, but they want to start pushing that to mentally ill people. They want to push that to mature minors, to young people below the age of 18. This is part of the Liberals' plan to try to implement MAID for mature minors. Then we have a report right here from the Epoch Times that disabled Canadians are offered euthanasia for problems that they're facing. They're calling it regular health concerns. Don't tell me that all of this is not related. They're literally, I don't know where I read that today, but somebody was saying that the Liberal government is literally turning into a death cult. And that's exactly what I see. This is exactly what I see. And don't even fucking get me started on abortion. It's absolutely insane. It's like 25 to 30%. Right here in Canada, the US is the same. Of literally 25 to 30% of Canadians of the next generation are killed through abortion. 25 to 30%. And I've spoken about this on this show before, when there has to be a better way to deal with this. How about abortion? How about we fix our abortion? Or, as I mentioned on this show, the number one reason why women get abortions is because they cannot afford to have children. That's the number one reason. I've said this multiple times on the show. Why don't we somehow help those families that want to have children by, let's say, cutting their income tax, removing a portion of their income tax to make it easier for them to actually grow families? Because the latest reports are showing that 1.2 kids, that is what the birth rate is of Canadian women right now. 1.2 kids. It's never been this low. This is the lowest it's ever been. You need about 2.1 or 2.2 to replace, to just keep the same population. But as I've been talking about this for a while now, how we need to help, if the number one reason for abortion is the fact that women cannot afford children, we either need to start helping them in order to bring them to life, and then make it easy for people to adopt them. Because right now there's way more people. There's something like 20 times more people waiting for a newborn than there are newborn available. And one of my buddies in the US just posted pictures about that. They just adopted a newborn just over the weekend. He was posting that all over his Instagram. So we have to fix the problem. And this is the perfect segue. Look at what's going on in Poland. The Poland president signed off on a new zero income tax law for parents with 2 children. So literally what I've been talking about, and I'm just talking. I'm just proposing solutions, how to make it happen. I'm not in government. I don't know the fine details. But this is one of the things I was actually talking about. They want, the Poland president has signed off a new law introducing zero personal income tax for parents raising at least 2 children, which is, like us, the replacement rate, a reform which aims to support families, increase household incomes, and boost economic activity. It's right there. I was literally talking about this a few weeks ago. And there it is. There it is, the president of Poland. I would love to go to Poland. This is definitely a place I would love to go. Hey guys, I went on a massive fucking rant here. My apologies. This is what happens, I think, when I'm alone. I'm just fucking fired up. This type of shit bothers me because it's everywhere. The bills they're trying to push, the guns that they're trying to take away from us, the fact that they blame Trump for the problem of our economy when it's 10 years of liberal policies that's completely destroyed our economy. The fact that we have a conservative party leader that won't talk about anything that's important, that literally looks like he's in the same party as Carney. We have the CFIA that's trying to call ostriches in BC that might be immune to the bird flu. Instead of us to study them to see how that's possible, they want to call them. It seems like now we have avian flu in a small petting zoo. Like everywhere we look, it's happening. So I'm gonna take some of the comments. I just realized an hour goes by fast. Let's take a few of your comments, and we're gonna end it on that. But Kenzie is saying that the irony is just hysterical. Yeah, it's hysterical in a way. Like there's an expression in French, rire jaune, yellow laughter. It doesn't translate very well, but it pretty much means that you're laughing, but it's not funny. You're like, yeah, that's not good. Bristle Tube seems to agree with me. So yeah, it's happening everywhere. For us not to see this is, if you can't see this, you need to open your eyes. You need to start looking, and don't believe what I'm telling you, but look into it. Doubt me. Try to prove me wrong. You know what? I put you to the challenge. Prove me wrong on what I said. Hey, New Dog Productions, what's going on, man? Just got home from work. Rob is sick on leave now. Yeah. He called me up earlier saying that he was sick, so it's me alone. Amio Rosetto, airport crash because they go cheap and not hire good people to protect the network. That is an excuse to take power. Oh, brother. Yeah. This is, I worked in the telecommunication field for 20 years. I literally sold cybersecurity to some of the biggest companies, entities in government in Canada and even in the US. Governments are terrible at managing their network. Absolutely terrible at managing their network. So you're absolutely right. This, to me, I don't know if you agree with me, but this was done on purpose. This is exactly a false flag in order to push C8 down our throat in the state that it is right now. Bristle Tube, they had a MAID conference in Montreal and they were advocating for it to offer to minor without parental knowledge. Yeah, fuck. Mature minors is how they call them. Absolutely insane. It's absolutely insane. La Chèvre Noire, I revoked my organ donation authorization after hearing about the horrors of organ harvesting. China is notorious for using prisoners for that very purpose. Epoch Time has written about it. Yeah, I believe you. I 100% believe you. Well, we're seeing it with MAID right now that they're harvesting their organs. So absolutely nuts. It's absolutely nuts. So New Dog Production is saying, okay, so what are Canadians going to do about it? Liberals do all the wrong things and conservatives do nothing but whine, bitch, moan, and complain about what liberals do. And I would argue that they don't even go that far. They don't even complain about the real stuff. There's only a few. Like, there's really only one that I'm really impressed by on the conservative side, and it's Leslyn Lewis. I actually really like what she stands for. And I did not know until recently that she tried to become the leader of the Conservative Party, but obviously Pierre Poilievre beat her, sure. But all to say that she did try to become the leader and it didn't work out for her, but I really like her. But you know, it's the solution can be dangerous. Because what are we supposed to do right now? What are people supposed to do when your government is taking advantage of you? Do you go violent? They have more guns than we do. But if you go violent, will the police force enforce the government's will? Who knows? And I'm not saying we should go violent. I'm just breaking it out. I'm just thinking about it as we speak here. Can you go violent? Sure. But they have more guns than us. There are more people. They have a lot of law enforcement. People are scared. Are they going to stand up? Probably not. Do we do another convoy? Do we do something like they did in Ottawa, but we don't let them crush it? It's a good question. There's a lot of things I have in mind. I'm not ready to talk about them right now because, like I said, I like to formulate my ideas first to make sure that they make sense. But at the same time, I don't condone for violence. I believe in self-defense, but I'm not condoning violence. But it's a good question as to what can we do? Because unfortunately, most of the things that we can do will take time because, you know, everything is changed on a community level. You want to impact your life, change your community. Because we focus on the federal level, we focus on the North American level, we focus on the international level because that's what we hear about in the news, right? But at the end of the day, you want to change your life, change where you live in a community, change the community in which you're part of. So get elected as mayor, get elected as school board members if you have children, get elected on the school board. There's a bunch of things that you can do, but you need to do them locally. But what do you do federally? That's a good question. But at the same time, I was kind of surprised because, you know, Bill C2 got so much pushback. So much pushback. We're talking about more than 300 civil groups contacted Parliament to say that they wanted nothing to do with that bill because it was a surveillance bill and it would censor, it would give the power to the government to spy on us. It would give the government access to stop $10,000 transactions like cash transactions. There's a bunch, like they could install spyware on your phone, on anything electronic without having to tell you. They could open your mail. So they were literally going after our freedoms, but 300 groups made them change their minds. So I was surprised to see that happen because that's kind of giving me a bit of faith that something non-violent can still work. But New Dog, I'm not sure, man. At this time, as we speak, there are ways to fight your government without doing it violently. And most of the time, it has to do with humor. It might sound very strange, but there is a book that I read a couple of years ago for Blueprint for Revolution. If you've never read that, it's brilliant. It's somebody somewhere in Eastern Europe that overthrew their government with memes and humor. So there's ways around it, but you know, the problem that we're facing is not just locally to Canada. I think most of us can agree that there's a massive agenda being pushed on a global level. Everywhere in the West, it seems like we're all on the same path. We are a bit behind when we compare to what's going on in the UK, France, and Australia, what's going on in Germany. But we're still all on the same path. So what would it need to happen in order to stop them? You know, at the end of the day, as much as they seem to have more power than we do, we are a lot more than them. You know, there was a great picture. I've seen it years ago, but it was basically a bunch of people, a bunch of rich people sitting around a chessboard celebrating. Well, not celebrating, but they seemed to be enjoying life. You could tell that they were rich. And then it was on the back of people. So the board was literally held by people on their knees, bent forward, and the board was on their back. And basically the caption is just, all we need to do is stand up. So, New Dog Productions, I'd be curious for you to check the episode, the Saturday night mashup that we had yesterday. Because we did talk about that, and in my opinion, it all connects with Christianity. We need to believe in something greater than ourselves. We need to believe in serving others in order to change what's happening here. But yeah, it was a great conversation yesterday. But we definitely have some power if we really want to change things. It's just we need to stop believing that politicians are here to help us, and it's up to us to do something. But at the same time, you stir the soul. You cannot win a war while being passive. Agreed. I could not agree with you more. On that note, I'm going to close the show. I went over by 11 minutes, and I really appreciate you guys being here. I absolutely love recording those podcasts with or without Rob. Obviously, it's more entertaining with Rob, but when I'm alone, I get to speak more of what I believe and less. I'm not trying to find common ground with Rob, right? When I'm alone, I'm just talking about what I believe in. And yeah, it makes for a different type of show. No shit, man. But let me know how you guys, if you guys enjoy those shows, because I love to spend this time with you guys. I love to take the comments. So, guys, absolutely love you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of this show. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for spending your time with us. And on that note, well, I will wish you a great night, and I will see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Hopefully Rob is there. If not, you're going to be stuck with me again. So we'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night, guys.